Hi.
You're silly.
I talk.
Okay.
What is this?
What is what?
This.
That's how we record it.
Are you calling someone?
No, it's open so that.
Ooh, when I tapped it.
Don't.
Hey, Alexis, don't
touch
be
the screen,
sassles and
please.
messing.
Don't touch the screen.
Go
please.
take this up into your room. I'm gonna hop on too.
Who are you calling?
Alexis,
Hi, Alexis.
why don't you walk up to the park? Why don't you get Josie and Miles to
Let's
go
get
to
you all
the
up to
park?
park, okay? All right, love you, baby. Whoa! You gotta yank the whole thing down. Good Lord. I'm Matthew Buckley Smith, and you're listening to SLEERICKETS, a podcast about poetry and other intractable problems. This week, we are doing basically all the things I always say I don't want to do on this podcast, but I think the result is pretty fun all the same. Joining me are Alexis Sears, author of Out of Order and winner of umpteen prizes, and Joanna Pearson, my wife, author of Bright and Tender Dark, a couple forthcoming fiction. Just a shit ton. Just a genuinely appalling number of books. They are back to talk about pop culture, my badness at submitting, and a sort of sensitive submission dilemma that I have, as well as one of Alice's favorite topics, writing for revenge, done well and done poorly, and a startlingly backhanded piece of fan mail that Alexis got and wanted to share with us. Before I get to that, though, I apologize for the lateness of this episode. I just got back in town from Boston. I flew up to Boston to visit my brother and his adorable son, and drove up from there to New Hampshire, where I read at the Frost Farm at the kind invitation of the Hyla Brook poets. Met a lot of people in person. Some I already knew from the internet and some I didn't. Melissa, Irene, Emily, Bob, Zena, Eric, Thomas, Midge, and I don't remember everybody else's names, but everyone was quite lovely. It was a real pleasure to read there, along with Vin Medunio, who was the featured Hyla Brook reader. Now, here's my conversation with Alexis Sears, author of Out of Order, and Joanna Pearson, author of Bright and Tender Dark, and Our Two Beautiful Daughters. Bye. Oh my God.
I am so excited about this podcast right now.
Yeah, where do we start? I want to hear, but I feel like Alexis had a lot of thoughts. Matthew had a lot of thoughts. I'm just going to chime in here and there.
This a staple of SLEERICKETS podcast coverage, Lena Dunham TV series. We're ostensibly going to talk about Too Much by Lena Dunham and Megan Stalter and company, but I'm not sure how much there is to talk about.
Well, should we start with our initial stance? Because I will
Sure.
say for the record,
Mm-hmm.
I am a huge unapologetic. I don't keep up with her personal life and her personal whatever on things, but like as an artist, I'm a huge Lena Dunham fan. I love Lena Dunham. I'll like pay attention to whatever she does. And I love Megan Stalter in general. I think she's hilarious. Oh, Echo's eating pizza. Let me just go move the plate. Echo, no. That's my starting position. What about you guys?
I agree with you. I loved Girls. I think Girls was absolutely amazing. I've heard it's having like a revival right now where Gen Z is like, oh my God, have you heard of this thing? It's called Girls. And like everyone's really into it right now. This one was interesting because I didn't think it was necessarily that great. But after I finished it, I thought about it nonstop for like the following 2 or 3 days, which says something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to this one, but I'm with you. I'm with you on Girls, and I'll say good for Gen Z. Good for Gen Z.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of Girls I love Christopher Abbott and Alex Karpovsky. I think they're great. And there's some other great people in the show too. And it seemed fine, generally speaking.
You did not come into this. You love Megan Stalter,
Megan
though,
Salter
Matthew.
is great. I enjoy her in. It seems like she has to be used just right, but I also enjoy your enjoyment of her a great deal.
Oh my God. I've never seen somebody do better. Her, I mean, I feel like my only issue is now she's getting too famous to do this much longer, but her Instagram videos where she just like
Oh
pretends to
yeah.
be, do you know what I'm talking about? I can't even
Mhm.
tell if is my okay, my sound is.
It's sort of like
Um,
scrupulously amateurish in a way that's really
yes.
winning.
Yes, like and my worry is that now as she becomes more, deservedly well known, that she won't have time to do like that's the most, I mean, to me that's like the highest art form of Instagram, above and beyond my beloved choreographed roller skating videos, and I love those a lot too. So, uh yeah, but what about this show, Alexis, you thought about it a lot afterwards.
Yeah, so I didn't necessarily I know we were supposed to like hate the character and everything. I think
Which character? The central one?
the main one in Too Much, Jessica. I think well I know that everybody on the internet hated her.
Oh.
Because first of all, I'm so tired of people being like, "Oh, you're not too much," or like, "Am I too much or not enough?" I'm like, I think this is all really been exhausted at this point.
Many
You
many people are too much. I think it's fair to
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
And I think she was as well, to the point where it was almost not believable. Like, are you really gonna talk about all your UTIs at a dinner with your boss? Like,
Yeah.
really? Has anybody here done that? I don't think I have.
No.
No.
No, no, no. Yeah. What is it about this show? It's like it's got all the pieces to be good. It's got Lena Dunham. It's got Megan Stalter. It's
Terrific
got,
cast overall.
yeah, I mean, it's got,
Naomi
and like
Watts,
Naomi
Stephen
Watts,
Fry,
which was that was like
Like
that was a
Andrew
great
Scott.
scene.
Adele
Yes.
Exarchopoulos was
Hmm.
amazing in that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. It's got like,
terrific cast. Yeah,
how
Kit
does it have so
Harington.
many
Yeah,
good
Andrew Scott.
pieces, but then it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be at all?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I thought
Because it was
even with
completely
Lena Dunham.
self-indulgent, like
Mhm.
self-indulgent wish fulfillment oriented autofiction. Like what made my heart sink after seeing this very lackluster series was then looking up. I just noticed that it was co-created by Lena Dunham and Luis Felber, whom I'd never heard
Her
of
husband.
until I read who Luis Felber is. Here's
Hmm.
Luis Felber. He is a millennial British musician born to a Peruvian mother and a British father who has played indie and underground rock and roll in London and basically is the Will Sharp character. And
Hmm.
like, I mean, the Will Sharp character is a manic pixie dream boy. And while like you always sort of prettify people for screen, Megan Salter is the Lena Dunham stand-in. She's definitely more attractive than Lena Dunham. The differential between Louise Felber and Will Sharp is staggering.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Lena
It's
Dunham
a
and Louise
staggering
Felber are
difference.
well matched in looks. Will Sharp is
Right.
a beautiful, beautiful man.
Yeah. Yeah, he did
Yeah.
not look like Luis one bit.
No.
No, no, not
It was
it,
almost
not it.
insulting to Luis.
No, I had that thought too, Alexis. I had
Yeah.
the exact same thought where I was like, there's a point where, yes, every movie version is prettified, but there's a point where if the differential is too high, it does almost become an insult because you're like, oh, that's just, it's so much that it's
Yeah.
anyway, whatever. He's
Yeah.
not, let me fact check myself though. Lena Dunham, I am not claiming to be up on everything pop culturally, but my sense is that her husband is not a super famous, successful musician. He maybe has become more well known by being her husband. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think he'd had some moderate successes before then, but yes,
Okay.
because the previous guy who's they cast the also good but by my lights poor man's John Magaro, Michael Zegan as her ex, who
Oh, we're gonna
is
have to talk about that because that was
yeah, who has a real life stand-in as well, as does Emily Ratajkowski, who's seems like a accurate portrayal of herself, though not being a very
Oh, that
good
was Emily
character.
Ratajkowski.
The beautiful influencer. Yeah,
Oh,
woman.
like
Yeah.
as in the famous the famous model who
Actor?
was in,
Yeah, I would
no,
say
not actor,
model.
excuse me, no, model,
Model
I,
personality. Yeah.
the
I would say
model
author
from
before actor.
the
Oh yeah,
model
she wrote
from
that book about being
the
sexy.
blur the blurred lines video that sort of then got destroyed,
How
right? She was
dare
in.
you cite that as the way you know her, Joanna?
Ugh.
She disavows that video.
Do you know
Gross.
what? I don't remember the whole saga of that video, and I might get canceled for saying this, but like it's a really good song
Yeah.
is the
It's a
trouble.
very good song.
It's
It's a very winning video. It's a dumb pop song that's extremely catchy, and it was not extremely catchy by accident. Like it wasn't
yeah.
popular as a fluke.
Right.
What was the controversy? I feel like that like I'm totally going to take us on this tangent. He used Marvin Gaye's music, but then it was also people were like the lyrics were saying
People were saying it was
like
rapey, and he did a
sort of
weird
like sort of
thing
like
with
baby it's cold outside, like a
several
little
things
bit
happened. He like
rapey.
Miley Cyrus did twerking at an award show, and people got
Oh
mad
my
because she's
God.
white. And Robin Thicke
Yeah.
seems like a sleazebag in general, and Ti has a very checkered past. And the whole video was supremely like objectifying of women. And Marvin Gaye's estate won a suit because the claim, which is baffling until you hear both songs, is that Blurred Lines did not steal the lyrics or melody or samples from, was it Let's Get It? It wasn't Let's Get It On, it was another Marvin Gaye song, but it stole the feel of the song. And they won that lawsuit because it did steal the feel of the song. If you hear the Marvin Gaye song, it is the same feel. It's a good feel. There's a reason they stole it. It's catchy. It's a good song.
No,
Like
isn't it,
many good songs, it is morally despicable, but
well, that's yeah, that's the thing is I think I listened to too much, 90s hip hop where I just like trained myself to filter out sort of like rapey lyric. I mean, like I'm not endorsing the lyrical messages of any what song was it? Got to Give It Up?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the
That's it.
Marvin Gaye
That's it.
song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, tangent.
Yeah, I listened to do you know the song Where the Hood At by DMX? I recently listened to that and was like, this is extremely catchy. It's also the most homophobic song I've
Yeah,
ever heard.
for sure, for
Like there are
Yes.
sure.
like two whole verses about how much he hates gay people. And I
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
whoa, like where did this come from?
I
Was this
got
Yeah.
actually
yeah, I got
anything?
Azalea Banks 212 in my head recently, and it's like just staggeringly homophobic. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, that's I heard this guy talking about I love when we go down a yeah, the poets are going to hate this one, Matthew. I was listening to this guy talking about Notorious B.I.G. and he spoke so eloquently about him because Notorious B.I.G. was kind of like, he was a genius, right? He was a genius in so many ways. And guess he was like the biographer or something. And the guy was like, well, what do you think about some of the just like rampant homophobia in some of those lyrics? And he was like, I like to think that I like to think that hip hop is evolving, and I like to think that had he lived, he would have evolved. And maybe that's sort of a cop out because I like Notorious B.I.G., but I like to hope that too. I don't know.
I don't even see it as a moral stance. I just see it as somebody conforming to the rhetorical and moral conventions of the
I
moment
think
and the
that
culture. And the same thing would be true today. You wouldn't be evolving, you would just be mirroring what's happening around in
I
a way
mean,
that
I think
like
yeah,
is
I
fine.
think
That's
that's
fine. That's like
I think
artists
that
don't
that
need to be
is
role models.
I think that's that is a complicated. I think that
I
you
didn't say
are
artists should be monsters. I said they don't need to be role models.
yeah, well, I feel like now we're getting really far afield.
I mean, there's a reason 100% of the conversation thus far has been a tangent because there's nothing to talk about in the series itself. I think
No,
it's a dead dog.
y'all had some points about this series. Like because there were like some good moments and there were some
Yeah,
boring
Lena
parts.
Dunham is not a bad writer, and there's so many great, talented, charismatic people involved, and there's some great scenarios. So yeah, like there are plenty of delicious little moments and nice exchanges, and Andrew Scott is like really great at playing a charming sociopath, but I don't think as a series it really is anything except Lena Dunham sort of like satisfying her own vengeful spirit against Jack what's his name
Oh my God.
and her expression of love and self satisfaction in her new marriage.
Do you know what the problem was for me? I think now that I think about it, I think the characters, with the exception of Lena Dunham's character, whom I loved, I was thinking
I
I
loved her
cannot
too.
relate to a single one of these people. We have like the super like flamboyant Gen Z coworkers who are just saying stuff like I'm living for this in a way that
Yeah.
felt like so stereotypical. We have Jessica just being like that, like just totally insane. Andrew Scott's character, I loved it, but like, come on. And
Yeah.
like, oh, and the grandma, I think it was Rhea Perlman,
Rhea
right?
Perlman, yeah, another great, yeah.
The part where she's talking about like how she'd love to like have sex with the ex or something,
Yeah.
or like give somebody a blowjob. I'm like, I haven't had that conversation with my grandma. Like this to me just feels like a little ridiculous. But my main problem was Felix, Will Sharp's character. My main
You know
problem
what?
was
I
him.
feel like I might agree with you, Alexis. Like expand on this because I feel like I might agree with you.
As a person, I thought he was fine. I didn't buy the chemistry between them at all. Like first episode, I was like, I see it. From there, it really felt like she was just smothering him, and he was like, yeah, whatever. What bothered me about him was that he seemed like a mix of about a dozen different cliches. Like the whole,
Yeah.
I am so tired. The part where he's like, I'm a bad guy, and he starts hitting himself in the face. Do you remember this? I'm about to go on a rant about this because
Go
this
on a
made
rant. Go
me
on a
feel
rant. Go
some
on a
type of
rant.
way. Yeah, you know what really grinds my gears? I'm so tired of like men who, and this is becoming increasingly common in my life and with people I know, these men who do this entire act about like, I'm a bad man and I have a checkered past, and they cry and get all worked up as if they have no say in the matter,
Yeah.
as if it's a
Yeah.
degenerative disease and they can't help it. I mean, I was talking to someone and he was crying, oh, I really like you, but I'm so bad. I cheat on women, blah, blah, blah. I'm
Oh
like,
God.
you could just stop doing that. No,
Yeah.
it's the way I am. And it's like, I
Oh,
mean, I'm just so,
that's like, well, that's useful to get that learned, and then like see you later. Like that's not an
Well,
interesting.
do
That's
you know
just
what?
like thank you for being upfront, and like
exactly.
I'm gonna be deleting your information from my phone.
I
Because
mean, this
they're
is
blocking.
maybe this is where maybe to tie it all back together, maybe this is why I'm like, okay, listening to Robin Thicke and the 90s hip hop with all the misogyny and whatever. Like I'm like, at least it is being it's being utterly transparent and the locus of control is in the person saying the words, and it's not that sort of like performative sadness like I'm at the mercy of myself, like my actions are just happening and I'm being dragged along by them. He seemed like a sort of blank, like he is a beautiful man. I mean, in a way it's interesting to see a man get cast into that. Maybe this is the manic pixie dream boy thing where like he's obviously been put in there because he's beautiful, but as a personality, there was just like nothing there for me to perceive. And so in a way I was like, well, let's get back to the some of the other characters who were kind of caricatures, like at least the
Mhm.
grandma talking about sex, there was like a flamboyant flavor of a personality I've never encountered, but there was a flavor something. And Will Sharp was just kind of like beautiful and blank, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. And they sort of threw in the part about him loving Paddington Bear and crying and stuff
Yeah,
to kind of try give him dimension.
you're so right.
Right?
I
Like,
forgot.
no, he's quirky. He loves bears and kids shows.
Yeah,
He's
she should have just committed to objectifying him. Like she should have just
Yes.
treated him like a female love interest in an 80s movie, and it would have been a more satisfying
Yes.
watch.
I actually think you're right. I think y'all are so right. Forget the Paddington Bear shtick, but just like, yeah, commit to objectifying him. And I think it would have been a better show.
It would,
And
yeah,
then
like
there's,
if it was like if it had just been a straight ahead romantic comedy, it could have been dumb and entertaining, but it wasn't honest with itself about what it was after. It was
yeah,
trying to be clever and think PC and cutting and insightful and voice of a generation y the way Girls was, and it wasn't that. It was wish fulfillment.
it tried to be so many different things that I don't think it really succeeded at any of them. And that's kind of like how I
yeah,
felt just about Felix in general, because like I remember, I think this was the first episode. where Jessica mentions that she likes Fiona Apple, right? And
Oh
he
yeah.
along the lines of like, "Oh, I thought your favorite band would be the Backstreet Boys." And I just kind of like rolled my eyes at that because I remember like there's something about, and I do think this is where Lena Dunham succeeded. There is something kind of relatable about a lot of these lines and these things. Like, I remember like
Yeah.
saying once that I really liked the drummer Keith Moon, and some guy is like, "Whoa, like I can't believe you know who that is." Like, you know, like, "Oh, like, wow, how do you know that? You're a woman. Wow." Like, as like he's one of the most famous drummers ever. I mean, and I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like white men or whatever men are just gonna gatekeep like rock music, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it felt so meh, like,
Yeah.
and then that's the only personality we really even get from him. He's bland except for when he's being kind of rude.
He's
Like the
There was
yes.
avocado
like
toast.
there was I'll tell you where there was like briefly real romantic chemistry was between him and Adele
Mm.
Exarchopoulos. Like they had one
Yeah.
little bit where he stays over at her house, and I thought like, oh, here's a romance I'd want to watch.
Mhm.
Well, in that, like his little where what were they? Were they all named Polly? What were the
Mhm.
Yeah,
girls?
yeah,
Yeah, like I felt like that little trope. I was like, oh, I kind of want to spend more time with them. Like
yeah,
they were
yeah.
kind of like the French Polly and the Brit, like whatever, all the Pollys. I was like, here's a little like stuff of personality going on. But you know what? It is true that I forget everything, but I do think that it's telling that it wasn't that long ago that we watched this show, and I feel like
Yeah.
it's all flown out of my mind. Like I like y'all are saying it and y'all are stirring it back up, but it felt so kind of like insubstantial. And you know what? I'm saying all this. I will absolutely watch the next thing Lena Dunham does. I will absolutely watch the next thing that Megan Stalter does. I don't know how that can be true, but it's true.
What did you think of her ex-boyfriend who was supposed to be sort of a parody of Jack Antonoff, Lena's ex? What did you
Oh,
guys
He
think of
made
that?
zero sense as a character. He was he
yeah.
was he was drawn entirely from the outside, but then there were these moments when they would try to draw him from the inside and just turned him into a fucking Klein bottle. He made no sense at all.
What do you think, Alexis?
I couldn't have put it better, but that's, well, I just remember being so impressed that he is supposed to be like a ripoff of Jack Antonoff, like down to the gap in his teeth, just like bopping around, being like such a dork. I mean, and I love how everybody who's watching the show immediately knows who that is. They're all like,
Yeah.
"Oh, she's roasting her ex." And after that, I was going on Reddit a lot to see what other people thought of Too Much.
Yeah.
People weren't into it, but someone said something along the lines of like, Jack Antonoff is really good at what he does, but I watched him go on a podcast with some other people, and he was so dumb that he was on like a different level. And I was like, what if that's me on Slee Rickets? Like, I was like, what if that's me on various panels and poetry podcasts where people are like,
Impossible.
Alexis is dumb. He's on
Imp-
like a different level.
I'm waiting
oh
for
my God.
who would be the flattering but still mortifyingly recognizable celebrity to play you in a TV adaptation of your romantic failures.
Hmm.
Flattering, but still like,
Mortifyingly recognizable. Like that you'd say like, well, that person is attractive and I'm glad they chose that person, but also like it makes me uncomfortable how close they got it.
I don't even know. I don't think that person exists to my sorrow.
I've been compared to Aubrey Plaza about 6 times this year.
That's not a
Oh,
bad
I can
one. Yeah,
see
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not a
Does he have
bad
sort of
one.
like a
Cur-
deadpan,
curl the hair a little
fake-eyed
bit.
thing?
Do yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's not
Alexis,
bad.
that's a flattering cool. I mean, do you feel cool when people say it? Because I
Oh yeah,
would.
people love her. She has like a cult
Yeah.
like
Oh
following.
yeah.
Yeah,
Deservedly. Yeah. She's got like the cool girl something.
yeah.
Yeah, and she's Will Sharp's wife in White Lotus, so it all comes together.
There you go.
Which
There you go.
why did Will Sharp seem so much better in White Lotus? Was it just that White Lotus was a better show?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes, it's a much better show. He was a much better written character in that one. He made a sort of sense in that one. He was also much better in Real Pain,
and
where
Flowers.
he.
Lux, who
Yeah.
would play you?
I don't know. I know who would play Joanna, though she doesn't have the
Who?
height. Is Sally Hawkins.
Sally
Oh,
Hawkins? I
Yeah.
feel
oh,
like this is like I feel like this is when I was a teenager and some boy said, "Oh, you look like Eudora Welty." And then I looked at the photo of Eudora Welty and I was
No,
like,
Sally Hawkins is a pretty. I mean,
Sally's
I'll say
adorable.
like
Yeah.
I'll tell you somebody else I really like who's not as pretty as Sally Hawkins, but who reads as very intelligent, and so I find her attractive. Is Chloe Peary. I like her a lot.
"Oh,
Oh, I have to.
Sally, okay, Sally Hawkins is not as bad as I thought. I just looked her up and I think I maybe thought she was somebody else."
You're just like she
So
had sex with a fish man, so she must be hideous.
So not to creep everybody out, but I
Yeah.
was about to look up Chloe Perry, right? Because I
Hmm.
knew who she was. As soon as I typed in the C on Google, Chloe Perry popped up. So we're being listened to
Yeah,
by
for sure. Yeah, no
oh,
question.
somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
whoa,
It's because
whoa.
I've searched
Um,
Chloe Peary plus Alexa Sears 10,000 times on my
that's
computer,
why.
so it's throwing off the stats, I
Yeah,
think.
you
But
just
yeah.
Google it until it pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, who is Chloe Peary?
It's a British actress.
Okay.
She like she
Okay.
read
I thought,
she is convincingly smart on screen, which not a lot of actors are.
oh God, do you know what though? I've actually thought of who would play me, and it's like sort of a compliment and it's sort of an insult to myself, but this person
Mm.
is amazing. I mean, it would be like Edie Patterson in her Judy Gemstone mode. Like
Oh yeah, no,
e-
for sure,
ever
yeah.
since ever since Matthew, I once was trying to pick an author photo, and I had an author photo where like one of them was just like smiling really big, like really Judy Gemstone with like her sort of like a little bit curly, but like, and Matthew was like, yeah, that was kind of good, but it's like a little bit, it's like giving a little bit Judy Gemstone. And I was so horrified. And now I can't unsee it. Now I just like, I can't unsee it.
Interesting.
I just
Are you
feel
looking at,
the only
look
thing
at,
is I feel sure that I didn't say it's giving, but other than that, I
you
think that's
didn't, you
probably
didn't
Definitely
say,
accurate.
did. It's
you
giving.
wouldn't,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have used the phrase
No,
it's
no.
giving, but yeah, that's, I would take it. I think she's cool, but I don't know. It would be the perfect, ugh.
So, is there anything else to say about Lena Dunham's series?
I'm looking through my notes and I think it's weird how see something I wrote on my phone when I was watching it was WTF was the penultimate episode and I can't remember what that was, so let's look
Yeah,
that
I
up.
have
Was that the one where they went to a concert? Like a,
the wedding one. Oh no, sorry. The wedding was the previous one with
Oh, this is the
Sonoya
one where
Mizuno, another great cameo. No, the ninth one was
oh when he
the
relapses, right?
the commercial shoot where she shoots the video with Rita
Oh,
Ora, where Andrew
he
Scott
saves
walks
the
off
day.
and she shoots the video with Rita Ora as Santa Claus, which is fine. And then he has sex with the older woman.
First of all,
that was weird.
that was
Yeah,
so weird.
yeah.
I thought it was a little murky consent-wise because he was like inebriated out of his mind. Maybe she was too, the old lady. I'm not really sure. But
That was weird. I
I
forgot about that.
thought it was weird and I thought like, hello, like you kind of cheated with Andrew Scott. Why are you
Right. Yep.
suddenly
Yeah. I
taking
had the
the
same thought. Yeah.
yeah. She tried to say that
Yeah,
was
yeah, no,
him.
I agree completely. I agree completely. And like, I think it's so interesting when, like boundary violations, things that are a little, I mean, I think I have it. I mean, this is why I like fiction and storytelling. I think those things are of interest. So it is interesting when there's like a age gap relationship depicted in a movie or whatever, but it was like that one I just didn't get. Like I didn't, and it's sort of like the whole thing with Will Sharp's character is like he has no, even with the ex-girlfriend who was the S&M person, it's like he kind of just gets dragged along into sexual situations, but he has no rudder himself. He's just sort of getting like pulled along into like utterly chemistry-less situations. I
There
don't
was
know.
nothing between him and Jessica from episode 2 to episode
No,
10.
no, no.
No, no.
Here's part of what I think the problem is that like, and it's to some extent like what I think, at least my recollection is there was it was done better in the little bit I saw of Girls. Is it There are these unlikely scenarios, unlikely pairings, unlikely sex havings, unlikely discoveries, or the American producer sort of discovers she's a lesbian when she falls in love with the younger Gen Z, lesbian British producer, and there are all these sort of like or the weird semi-open but weirdo older couple with the boss, and Naomi Watts. There are all these sort of like odd, curious, slightly unlikely pairings and arrangements and things. And the problem is not with depicting any of those, it's with not exploring all of their strangenesses. Like, if you're gonna have
Yeah.
a weird age gap or a weird attractiveness gap or a weird whatever relationship, like, that could be interesting. Show us all the messy stuff that then involves. Show us the
Yeah.
implications. Let us like get into all the messy details rather than just treating it as a given that it would be rude even to notice.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
and
the
I
the
think
old the old lady thing was weird. That was so weird.
something that's interesting to me, and I want your opinions on this, is that the internet was just going whack in terms of the alleged attractiveness gap between Will and Meg. Someone
Oh, what?
on YouTube referred to the show as visually depressing, which, by the way, I'm working that into conversation. But I
Oh,
looked
oh.
depressing today.
Oh, is somebody having a
I don't want us to miss the point you made, but one of the things that I really want to ask y'all about, so I want to make sure we finish the other point is, but I want to know everybody's stance on vengeance or revenge as a motivating force for art making.
Mm,
Because like
yeah.
I kind of love it, even though this one I feel like didn't turn out.
I think it can be very motivating, but it's also got to be like booster rockets on those old, space rockets, right? Like the Apollo rockets, they fall off as it blasts. Like revenge can motivate you, but at some point you got to let go of it. Otherwise, it's going to warp the final product, I think.
That's a good analogy.
And
Yeah.
I think like the bigger or longer you go, the more that's true. Like in a poem, you can have a little more pure vengeance and a malediction, but really, if it has any size to it, it's got to start to take some kind of a turn.
I love this question because I was telling someone sort of jokingly the other day that I'm in my revenge era. And I'm not actually trying to seek revenge on people, though I'm open to it. But I'm like going through this phase that I think is really important in our current political climate where like if something is wrong, I will call you out on it. And there was a certain person who, if you kick me out of a literary conference or ban me, because somebody else sexually harassed me, then you will be in my second manuscript. I mean, what is it? I saw a meme that was like, if you didn't want to be in the poem, you shouldn't have behaved the way you did.
Yes.
And like I get
Yes.
it. I'm finally there. I'm like, I
Yeah.
get it.
I mean, Alexis, I'm still there too. And I feel like it's like this small little pleasure of, I'm not gonna do an entire takedown of somebody. And I think often the things that somebody is doing, they're the sort of person who's obtuse, so it's unrecognizable to them. So
Mm.
they wouldn't even recognize themselves as doing whatever, which kind of gives you a little bit of safety. But I think it's like just like throwing in a little barb.
Yeah,
So
just a
you're
little.
doing,
You don't
oh, go
want to
ahead.
do so much that it becomes about them. Like it's still your art,
Yeah.
right? It's still supposed to be about you. But I
Yeah.
completely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with it. So is this happening in your second manuscript? Am I gonna like
Yeah,
see some revenge?
I think so. I think so.
What to hear?
Yeah, especially because like the way she portrayed, the X slash Jack Antonoff, the
Yeah.
every viewer is now having a laugh at Jack Antonoff. That's great
Yeah.
community building. Like
Yeah.
if like everyone who reads my next book can be like, wow, I agree with Alexis, this person was out of line, or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
No, I mean, I think it's, I mean, I obviously have some people in my life where I'm like, I want to use it as like the initial rocket fuel, but I will not give too much oxygen to this. But just like, for example, a recent situation with petty stuff with a neighbor, I
Mm,
think to myself, like, this is exactly the kind of like stuff of social satire in like a relatively bougie,
right.
mostly white neighborhood in a college town where like I would expect almost everybody in this neighborhood would align themselves politically, with progressive causes and being woke and whatever. And I'm like, and yet there is a person who was screaming at a brown skinned person who, like, I mean, just like, what, like, it's the year 2025. Even
Hmm.
if you think nothing else of it, I would think that you would have like a self-preserving sense of like self-consciousness about doing that, even if in
Yeah.
your heart of hearts you wanted to go, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I,
No, and going
s-
off of that, even if it's not necessarily intended at revenge, stuff like an ex or a neighbor or
yeah,
whoever it is a story. And it's a
yeah,
story that affects you. You're, being harassed or you're being annoyed or whatever. Like,
yeah,
even if the goal isn't to shame the perpetrator,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of worth preserving in like a literary form, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, and I think you're right. And I think that like for it to, I was thinking about this earlier, for it to work, I think it has to reveal social tensions. I think it has to reveal discomforts and awkwardnesses and I think ultimately even the main character, the person with whom my sympathies are going to align, I think that that person also has to have some discomfort and some culpability in some way and some like
Yeah.
whatever tension or misunderstanding. Like I think otherwise it doesn't work, like Matthew's saying, as a full story. But I think you're right, like it's the stuff of real life. And I feel like, you know what, I mean, in this sense, I'm with Lena Dunham completely. I think you get to use, I
Yeah.
think you get to use the things that
For
stir
sure, for
you
sure.
up,
Yeah.
bigger, I
You
don't
know what
know
comes
what
to
point
mind
I'm
is
making.
because I literally just taught a class on this at the little Redbud Writing
Yeah.
Project. I mean, a lot, it was like poems that are curses, stories that are sort of fuck you stories, a modest proposal, the Historia Calamitatum. There are a bunch of little funny things. One of the items that comes to mind is Shashi Bhatt's story. Her ex writes a novel,
Oh my
which
God, Alexis, oh my God, we should have read that before this
yeah,
episode. We should have had,
which is
we got
a
to tell.
yeah. So the story is, I mean, every student I've had, because I've taught it a couple times, and every time I've taught it, students have said, like, so this is true, right? And it is true. Like, this is a, the writer in the story is a novelist whose ex wrote a novel, and the sample on the website of the novel refers to somebody like her who seems to be a stand-in for her, and she becomes sort of totally sickeningly obsessed with it and perseverates over it and goes through all of these plans and attempts thoughts about revenge, and then the final revenge, of course, is that she writes this story. I think for my money, the success or failure of the story rests on how fully it feels like she's realized this as a character apart from her own perspective, right? Like, I mean, I've talked a million times about the magic quotation marks, and I think I enjoy the story because I read it as a dramatic monologue. I think
Hmm.
if it truly like if you take as given, if you take the story as expressing the opinions expressed by the speaker, then I think it's a much flatter,
Yeah.
shallower
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I
as an
think,
expression of like the anguish and the like torment and humiliation of having somebody write a piece of fiction about you in public, it's great, very
well, and
annoying.
we should say that, like, I mean, I think, I realize I'm sitting on the emotional outside of their past relationship, but like the two writers that we know who both in quotation marks in skillful ways, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, yeah,
wrote about sort of their past
yeah, yeah,
relationship
yeah.
in these different works. I should say that like we adore them both,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Oh, I mean,
and and
and
and, and they're
the
both
titular
fantastic
novel,
Wonderful.
the
writers.
titular novel is a very good novel. Like
Yes,
the novel
yes,
she's referring to,
yes,
that the actual ex wrote in real life, is
yes,
also a very good novel.
yes. And they're both, I mean, they're both incredibly thoughtful, self-aware, brilliant writers to whom like both of them, I feel a great, I don't know, sense of, I mean, I don't know if they'll listen to this or not, but I really love them both. I think
Yeah,
they're
of
both
course.
really wonderful. And like and it's funny to experience like the at oddsness, but also see it done. So, I mean, it's done so skillfully, but in different ways. I don't know. I'm
They're
really,
funny. They're both like, I knew because we went to school with both of them. I'm not good at liking people in person, and so I got along with them fine. But I have, as with Stephen Campa, I have come to like them a lot more since then through their writing because I just think they're
Mhm.
really good writers. Like Stephen Campa,
Mhm.
I totally didn't get along with, but I just think he's a good poet. So like, I
you
like
got
him
along
now
with,
because I don't have to like we don't have to go to school together.
you got
Um,
along just,
I
I think
got
you
no, I got
play
along
up
with
your,
Shashi and her ex great, but like I like them now better because I know they're writing better than I did at the time.
mhm.
no, I think you play up your the ordinariness of your youth just a little
No.
bit. I'll say that, Alexis. I think he
You
plays
may be
it.
remembering
He
through
plays it.
rose tinted glasses.
No, he plays it up. I mean, I think to you play it up, but I don't really know. I feel like I'm now that person on Reddit where like Alexis, I feel like I'm the dumb one on this podcast because I'm not really making points at all. But you should read this story because it is
Here, I'll send it to you.
yeah,
Awesome. It sounds great. I think
it's
that's
good, and
amazing that you know them both too.
the novel too is really good.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. No, it's excellent. Yeah.
So they're both excellent writers. So
Yeah. I've promoted both of them on the podcast before. We're just
yeah.
not quite connecting the dots for people because it's, for whatever.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
and the X is not Brian, I should say. For like that seemed to be the suggestion. It's not Brian. I have a dumb thought that has occurred to me recently about my submissions, and I'm
Oh.
truly a little bit unsure. Like, so my thought was I could run this by the two of you, and you could tell me if I am smart, stupid, cancelable, and bad, or none of the above, or all of the above.
All the
Right?
above. Okay, let's
Wait, can I pause just to
Yeah.
tell Alexis one fact about you that's just
Okay.
like
oh.
no, so Alexis, like I'm just gonna go out on a limb and like surmise that when you send out some poems to a place, you know the drill of like thank you for considering this. My poems have appeared, da 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 da. My first collection was selected by blah 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 as the winner of the like you like put in a little bio and like you select some fancy bits, right?
Right.
Like you said, and you're not doing that because it's going to sway them into liking your poems, but you're just sort of like you're selecting enough fancy bits so that when they're just opening it up, they're like, oh, we ought to like seriously read these. This person knows what
Which should
she's
not
doing.
be a train of thought that passes through their mind.
Neither here nor there,
Yeah.
Alexis and I know to do this. Do you know what old Matthew used to do? Matthew he would literally just be like, will you please consider this? Love
I
Matthew.
didn't
I
say
mean,
love. I said cordially
no,
yours.
he said cordial. He wouldn't put in a bio because he was said something like he was like, oh well, I just like it doesn't. They don't really want to read that. They just want to read
I
the
figured
purity
nobody
of
cares about bios. No, I didn't say anything about purity. I just figured more bio is always bad. So less bio is always better.
he thought that you just didn't put in a bio, and I was like, Matthew, that is bonkers because
It
I
is
was like,
bonkers.
it is bonkers, and I was like, because I have been a slush pile reader
Mhm.
at briefly, and like you do quickly take a glance to sort of even if it's a person where it's their debut submit, like you're just looking for something to see that it's not
We
a
we at literary when I was at Literary Matters, we didn't do that. But yeah, sorry. That was
but it's so just I just want to like interject to let you know that only like 3 months ago did Matthew start putting in a bio in his
it was more than 3 months ago. But yeah.
a year ago.
Uh,
What were you gonna say?
so all
Wow.
right. I've been publishing poetry since 2009, I think. But like 10ish years ago, maybe now, I started trying to write fiction in a more serious way. Wrote a novel, didn't get published. Wrote another novel, didn't get published. Just finishing my third novel, my third soon to be unpublished novel. But also then like 6 years ago, I started sending out short stories, and I published a handful of them. Here's this thought that passed through my mind. So this is 2019, with all of the you know the trimmings and accompaniments of that moment, and I for whatever for whatever Freudian reason, a lot of my fiction, novels and short stories, is from the perspective of women. And
Hmm.
the thought I had was, I think I do a pretty decent job as these things go, but whether or not they look at my bio, they will surely pass their eyeballs over my name. And if they immediately see not only man, but white man, because Matthew Buckley Smith is like unequivocally a white man's name, which again has served me well when applying for loans. But my
Yeah.
thought was like, that will only hurt if I'm
Hmm.
writing from the perspective of a woman. And so I was not going to use a pseudonym. I was not going to pretend to be somebody I am not. But what I did is I set up a submittable account just using my initials.
I think
And,
it's totally smart. I mean,
totally.
but it's
So
like A.E. Stallings just wanting to have the neutrality of like not making an assumption, I think, about like a name, like
yes,
Alicia.
and it and that she was at a moment when she was starting, when she first did that, when she was still, I think, like a teenager when she took that
Hmm.
pen name, but where it might still have helped her more to be thought of as a default as a man. But it
Yeah,
figured
that's what.
today it's sort of like, because traditionally women have done that to avoid being recognized as women. My thought was it will at least not put a flag on my sex as I'm submitting this.
Right.
That was my thought, and that's what I've done. But also, that's my submittable account. So that's how I send out anything I'm submitting. And I just had the thought recently. I definitely have no profile as a writer of fiction, but I have a couple times now heard back after the fact from editors at poetry magazines I've submitted to, who didn't realize if I'd submitted, which to me is also like, you need to
Oh,
clean up your submissions process because you're
yeah.
fucking filtering based on identity, like, but
Yeah.
but my thought is there, I might, where in the precarious balance of, because I also think like 2025 is not 2019, but like where in the precarious balance of toxic identity versus marginal name recognition am I, that I should I like, to what
Matthew,
degree am I hurting, helping, or does none of it matter at all?
here's the answer. It's so simple, and I want to know if Alexis agrees or not. But the answer is so simple. I think that you create two different submittable
That's what
accounts.
I was thinking too. Yep.
Exact right. You have
Yep.
one that's under Matthew Buckley Smith, from which you submit poetry. And then, because I think it's a very fair point, there are plenty of people who want to publish fiction under their initials and have a kind of neutrality. And I think it's whatever your reasons from whatever position, I think it's a completely valid argument to be like, I might be writing fiction from whatever perspective. And I think there are women who still do it too. I think that you just have a separate fiction account where you just want to have the neutrality and the separation of your fiction and poetic identities, right? I mean,
Does that sound right to you, Alexis?
That's exactly what I was thinking too. Yeah, just two different ones.
Yeah, yeah,
mhm.
maybe that's the way to go.
Two
Because
different ones because you're already, Matthew Buckley Smith, that's already like a recognized name as a poet. If you're
Yeah.
going, if you like get rid of it, then you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
yeah, but
Especially if
I
you're
don't know.
not going
Maybe
to put a bio in.
my sense of what that what that's of how much from scratch
Well,
that
you
is,
we've already established that your sense of things is off because you were submitting for years of your life without including a bio. So
Exactly.
I think that you should like, I mean, this is the thing. It's not merit matters up to a point. We know
I
for a
mean,
fact that
merit matters like
well, then
briefly at the end,
briefly,
not
but well
anywhere at the
then
beginning.
then behave as
Yeah,
such
yeah,
and
yeah.
don't be surprised when on occasion people absolutely are, if they're like filtering through the submittable and they're like, oh, Alexis Sears submitted something, I'm going to open that one up sooner. Or as could be the case, oh, Matthew Buckley Smith, I liked
Hmm.
his
Sure, sure,
whatever.
sure.
I
Yeah.
think you like you take it if it comes your way because
Oh no,
people
no,
are people. And
absolutely. It was more a matter of like, in the budget, I like, speaking in a purely mercenary sense. Like, it is not clear to me that I would, at this point, it's not clear to me whether I would lose anything by submitting fiction under my full name or gain anything by submitting poetry under my full name. Like, it's not clear to me what would
I
make
think
the
it's
difference any
I
way,
think
direction,
it's
or the other.
I think that there's enough of an argument that, I mean, to me, your argument with fiction feels really valid, that you kind of just like want to, there's a friend of mine who is a Virginia writer, and it's not that this is a secret. And again, you're not making yourself a secret, but she initially published a literary fiction novel under her like full legal name. um and I think like it just, it was kind of like disappointing. I don't think it got, whatever. I mean, still great, it was a published novel, but then she has since really like found a place for herself in the world of crime fiction. And part of doing that was she uses her the name she goes by, and like, I don't know, it's a different pairing of like
Right.
married name, middle name. It's like a
Different
it's
permutation of the
it's a
same
different
real name. Yeah.
it's a different permutation, but it's like a completely different name from what she previously published under. And I feel like it's perfectly reasonable to sort of have those like that separation, or that fresh start, or that neutrality, or whatever.
Yeah, I do, because I do catch myself doing the same. Because the thought I have is like, there is a specific delicious feeling that people experience when they get to say, "Of course, a man would think this." And I had that experience reading like Byung-Chul Han recently, and he made this comment about parents and smartphones, and like immediately I was googling like, does he have children, does he have children, does he have children, is he the
Mm.
primary caregiver, like, because there is a part of me that's like, of course a woman would think this, of course a parentless man would think, or a childless man would think this. So I think that we do have a tendency to, and it's unfortunate because like part of what's so fun both about fiction and about people is that they're so weirdly individualistic. And if you read a if you read a character written by somebody you sort of trust with that identity, you're more likely to say like, "Oh, what a weird and specific, interesting, peculiar character this is," versus like, "No normal person of this identity would be this way."
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's completely, again, it's like, it's just the neutrality argument. You want them to enter, you want the person to sort of like enter into the fiction, and read it on its own terms, and not come in with any sort of, or minimal. You want to minimize the
Yeah.
preconceived notions. And I think that's completely fair. I mean, I actually think like in another version of the world, I think, I largely write from women's perspectives, but like I sort of get it. I sort of get like JK, like, I mean, there's another version. If I had started that way, that I see the argument for just like not having a sign pointing
You're
either
sorry,
direction.
you didn't go by your initials JK for
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah. I mean, J.K. Rowling did kind
yeah.
of like. I
Well, I
don't
mean,
think we have the
whatever you,
same.
it's just like there's just an enormous amount of baggage one direction or the other with her. Like, yeah, that's just so probably good that you've established your own just distinct
I mean,
flavor as
I
a
think that
name.
no. I mean, I think somebody else would. I mean, if my last name were also Rowling, I wouldn't do
Yeah,
it. I think J.K. Pearson would be different
yeah.
enough. But you're
I
right.
mean, I
There's
was
a
going to say,
little.
I guess Michael B. Jordan has established a
Yeah,
sufficiently distinctive identity despite
yeah,
his
Well, or
name.
like
Yeah,
S.E. Hinton, when she wrote The Outsiders, she was like 16 or something. No
yeah.
one would see like a manuscript by a 16-year-old named Susan. I'm pretty sure it's like Susan Eloise.
right.
Like,
Yeah, I think we've solved it. I think we've solved it all. I want to
have
get any other juicy tidbits or savagery, because I probably should also check on us getting Miles home, Matthew, in a little bit. So we probably have to
Yeah.
keep it concise. What other savagery? What was the word you said, Alexis? You were like, I might be too.
I
Poetry
think it was
world
Savage.
spleen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I want any like last minute savagery. I would love it.
Hmm. Well, you know what? I've been thinking a lot about poetry personalities because I've heard this from a couple different people who've written books, and I kind of think I'm going through a similar thing where people read your book and they think they know you. And I don't know if have you
Ah.
two dealt with this? Like, I'm sort of reluctant to say parasocial because I'm not a celebrity and it feels like a
I
little
got stopped at the first of
ambiguous.
those steps, so it never really applied to me.
No, do you know what, Alexis? I was literally just listening to an author interview on the Brad Listy show, Other People, and the author was describing something similar. And I will say, it's not, and the author was saying that they felt like it was more likely to happen with memoir or poetry.
Mhm.
Um, it has certainly not happened to me, but I think people have a real like love of your book. Yeah, I want to know about it.
It's just so far it hasn't been anything super negative or anything. And before the book came out, I asked Greg Williamson, I was like, do you think there will be an issue where people feel too familiar and they want to talk to me about, serious personal stuff? And he didn't think it would be along those lines. He thought it would just be a lot of people who like kind of wanted to like be friends or something and became a little too much.
Hmm.
And I know like three women who have said stuff like this, which is just like, no, I don't want to like I guess I know someone who's getting DMs that are like I read your book or like I read your poetry and I really love it and I'm suicidal and self-harming every single day and I just feel like you can relate to this and I need your help. Like stuff like that
Oh,
where it's just like
wow.
holy shit, like now you've got a responsibility essentially.
Yeah.
I haven't been there, which is good. There is
But
something
people
that
have
I
written
have
to
been
you, or
planning
you've?
to mention though on
Yeah,
this pod,
please, please, please. Yeah.
and Joanna already knows about it. I got the most bizarre, like, fan message, um, essentially thanking me for, like, being the spokesperson for ugly people in the poetry world. So basically, like, this
What?
was this was
Yeah.
wild, and
What?
I hope she's not listening to this. This was so weird. Um,
I feel seen by you. You represent me. Was this like
I
the?
mean, okay, Alexis, like, okay,
Joanna thinks
I
I got it
feel
wrong.
like, no, I feel like, okay, first of all, we have to fact check for any listener who has not Googled Alexis's author photo that Alexis is gorgeous. We should just
Oh,
establish the
stop.
fact. She's gorgeous and it's just a
Yeah, it's
fact. It's a fact. But I don't think she was exactly saying that, but I think the message was muddled. I don't remember exactly how she put it.
It was the
It was
second
muddled.
half of the message that got me. So first half was like, hey, like I just finished your book in class. It's really resonating with me. I never really read about women discussing what it's like to feel ugly. So I'm thinking like, okay, that's not quite what I said, but like, okay, I'll go with it.
Sure.
I don't read about women who feel ugly and who have that ugliness assigned to them. And I'm like, wait, who gave me this assignment?
Who's
I just want
assigning
to know.
this? Yeah.
If you assign me as ugly, I want you to call into the show and disclose your name. I because I was
She,
like,
so she was like, not only have you said that internally you feel ugly, but I believe that other people have called you
and it has
ugly.
been
That's what she's
confirmed.
saying.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I asked Joanna, I was like, what do I say to this? And she goes, I don't know, thanks for reading. Like,
I
I
mean, I'm
think
like,
that, but I
it's
think
not.
no. Do you know how? Here's how I interpret it, Alexis. Like I think what happened was that I think she did have like a profound connection with your work. I think
Yeah,
she had like a
it touched
profound
her.
it resonated with something in her. And then here's what I suspect: something in what she was reading, she projected her own feelings of feeling unattractive and like
oh,
assigned
absolutely.
ugly by the world. And then she began to see that in the, how sometimes like it's like when people are reading there's a little bit of like a mirror where they're putting some
Yeah.
of their stuff into it. I think that that's what happened. I think that she really liked your work and then like projected some of her own anxieties onto it. That's my theory.
Oh, and that is for sure definitely part of it because she sent me some more messages about like growing
Okay.
up in the suburbs and like being, being considered ugly because she looks ethnic and da, 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 da. So you're right
Yeah.
that it was a lot of like projection. And I know which university, I know where she goes to school, I know what book, like which class.
Yeah.
And I thought about kind of jokingly reaching out to the person I knew who taught that class, but I was so afraid he'd be like, well, yeah, that was a major discussion point in class. Like,
Let's
it's
all
like,
look at a picture of Alexis and assess her. Yeah, no,
and
this
he's like,
is.
yeah, they pass it around. They're like, yeah, wow, she's really brave. Wow. Yeah. So I just,
Oh.
I mean, I do think that like when poems are weird, and especially lyric poems, especially if they are rooted to some extent in personal experience, they are weird raw, vulnerable kinds of expressions. And it's the sort of thing that, again, like it wouldn't be polite or okay to say the things we say in poems otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so when people then read them and feel something, it's often going to be something weird. And so I think that's,
Yeah.
my feeling is like, if people are reading your poems and feeling something, that's great. Just maybe you don't need to know all about the feelings they feel.
Exactly. Don't feel
But
too
but it's flattering that your poems are having an effect on somebody, and it's probably
Yeah.
going to be, if it's a, if it's a vulnerable poem, it's probably going to be a vulnerable response, and maybe we're just because you're good at putting things on the page doesn't mean you're good at having intense, awkward, intimate conversations with strangers.
Right.
That's so, yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I think the message got muddled, but I think she really came to you as a super fan. And I don't want to, I don't want to speak too much because I have really not had like a supreme outpouring of fans that I can really speak to. But I will
You
say that
you have, well, yeah,
I've
go ahead.
had, well, I've had a person who I think some of my work really did speak to this person, and who has been sweet and who has been lovely. And like, should he ever happen to listen to this, then he's been nothing but sweet and lovely. But there was a point where he made this analogy with regard to my writing or it was something, and it was like, yeah, I mean, your book was just like Madonna's career. Like it was just good, and it was just it kept getting better. It just got better. And I was like, but wait, is that really, has that been the trajectory of Madonna's career?
Joanna had to go drive our daughter's friend home, but Alexis stuck around for another stretch, and we had, I'm pretty happy. I think this is another all-star Secret Show episode. So we talk about Shakespeare adaptations and collaboration versus like plagiarism / cheating or fraud. But then Alexis shares a very juicy conference gossip blind item. And then the second half is really devoted to an attempt Alexis and I make with humor, but sort of seriously. We try to come up with a list of rules for how to conduct oneself sexually while at a literary conference. And I think we make some real headway. I think we come up with some really good rules and some discussions of maybe some failed rules, but it is a great deal of fun, and it is the sort of thing that would only appear on The Secret Show. So go check that out at SLEERICKETS.substack.com. If you put in your email address, I'll give you a week's access for free. After that, it's really fucking cheap. It is still cheaper than the cheapest suggested price for a monthly Substack subscription. You'll get a new episode every week in addition to the main feeds episode. And some 160, I think this is 162 now we have up there episodes. So go check that out, SLEERICKETS.substack.com. You can reach me, as always, at SLEERICKETS@gmail.com. If you have more money to spend, you can sign up to be a founding member, Motherfucker the Arts. If you have less money to spend, you can write me a note at SLEERICKETS@gmail.com, and I will hook you up. All right. Thank you all for listening. Go buy Alexis's book. Go buy Joanna's book. And with any luck, I will be speaking to you again very soon. Until then.